Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for my top 10 comic books of the week. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is my top 10 comic books of the week for January 22nd, 2020. All my thoughts on all the books I read you can find on the weekly comic book review, but these are the 10 that I would highlight as my absolute picks for buys. Great stories, great artwork, really cool, innovative type stuff. Let's get right into it. At number 10, we have Batman, Curse of the White Knight. Number 6, from DC Black Label, written and illustrated by Sean Murphy and colored by Matt Hollingsworth. I love Batman Curse of the White Knight, a very fine sequel to Batman White Knight, which was already a great book in and of its own right. It's written and illustrated by Sean Murphy. I can't say enough great things about Sean Murphy's artwork. I love it. I love his sense of architecture. Nobody draws vehicles and Batman and gadgets and tech like he does. I love it. His characters, they still have a lot of emotion. There's a lot of dynamic action that's spread throughout the book, and it's also very dark, gritty, moody, and atmospheric, and that's enhanced by the excellent coloring from Matt Hollingsworth. But Sean Murphy as a writer is actually pretty solid too. He understands the characters of Gotham. He understands the characters in Gotham, both Batman and his allies, and of course the villains, especially Joker and Harley Quinn. I've said it many times before, but this is by far one of my favorite versions of Harley Quinn I've ever read in a comic book, and that's hats off to Sean Murphy. A DC Black Label book, it's an Elseworlds tale, but it really holds true to the core of Batman and Gotham and what they represent, and what the Joker and Harley Quinn can possibly represent. Very well done. At number 9, we've got Middle West number 14 from Image Comics, written by Scotty Young with artwork by Jorge Corona. Middle West is one of those rare light fantasy books that I really like. I find it very charming and endearing, but it's also very nuanced and filled with emotional resonance. I really do like it. It's about this kid who's run away from home because he's run away from an abusive, violent, angry father. And he's worried that he now carries that inside of him, as a lot of us do, worried about carrying on the sins of the father and whatnot, right? Well, this is literally happening in this case because his father is this elemental beast, right? Of like a tornadic wind, right? And that carries into his son. So it's a light fantasy because it doesn't really get too big into world building or anything like that. In fact, it starts doing world building very subtly as this book continues on. It's a little bit of a slow burn, but it's really anchored by that great character work, amazing artwork by Jorge Corona. It fits that Scotty Young style, so even though Scotty Young doesn't illustrate this, it fits that style. I think this is one of the best works of Scotty Young's career. I really love this book. I think it's infectious, and like I said, a lot of subtle world building that's been developing as this book is going on. I may have said it's a little bit of a slow burn, but it's not as far as the emotional resonance of the book. It's really cool, and I love it, and it's one of the best books on shelves. At number 8, we've got Basket Full of Heads, number 4, from DC Black Label's Joe Hill's Hill House Comics, written by Joe Hill with artwork by Leo Max and coloring by Dave Stewart. Basket Full of Heads is just a riot. It's so much fun. Seriously, a lot of the other works in Hill House Comics right now, like Daphne Byrne, Lolo Woods, the Dollhouse family, they are very macabre. They're very moody and atmospheric, and they got a certain tone about them. Basket Full of Heads stands out because it's got a little bit more of a fun approach to it. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek at times, but it's still a truly horrifying story about the horrifying nature of humanity, no matter what side you're on, and that we're all capable of very violent and destructive things, right? But it's got a lot of comedy. This woman cuts off someone's head, throws it in a basket, the head keeps talking, and it gets a lot of humor milked out of that, but it's also built up with a lot of suspense and tension. It's something Joe Hill does very well in his other works, and it's no exception in Basket Full of Heads. Leo Max artwork is very cool. I like it. It's detailed, yet it's still crisp, and it flows very well. And then it's anchored by Dave Stewart's coloring, one of the best colorists in the business. He's been doing Hellboy for the majority of Hellboy's existence. Nobody understands horrific, atmospheric tone as far as a color palette can go, and the perfect use of that, like Dave Stewart. One of the best in the industry, and Basket Full of Heads, one of the best comics on shelves. At number 7, we've got Marauders, number 6, written by Jerry Duggan, with artwork by Matteo Lolli. So Dawn of X is trucking on through, and a lot of these books now are hitting their 6th issue, which signifies the end of their first story arcs, and I think Marauders ended incredibly strong. This book started strong, it maintained that pace throughout, and it ended its first arc in a very shocking moment that really anchors everything together, puts it all in one cohesive story, and I absolutely love it. This book has had great characters in it, and it's done great work with those characters. Duggan's done exceptional work with the character of Kate Kitty Pryde. Seriously, Kate Pryde has become the Red Queen of the Hellfire Club. She's kind of caught in the middle of this war between Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost. She can't get on Krakoa, so now she's manning a pirate ship with a crew like Pyro and Iceman and Storm, amongst others. A fantastic, fun bunch of teams. This book is very fun. But Kate's journey, what's going on with her, her rejection from Krakoa, right? Basically, she's going through a lot of emotional stuff, and this book, especially at the end here with issue number 6, really brings it all to a head in a very satisfying way, and I cannot wait for the next issue of the Marauders. It's fun, but it's still a very grounded and an integral part of the whole Dawn of X Hickman X-Men saga. I absolutely love this book. I think this has got some great, shocking moments. I love the intrigue. I love the political manipulation that's going on there. I love just the manipulation that's going on between all these different people in the Hellfire Club. Plus, Bishop's in it. And Bishop's one of my favorite X-Men. So there you go. Marauders number 6, loved it. At number 6, we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 47 from Boom Studios, written by Ryan Parrott, with artwork by Danielle D. Nicciolo. The Power Rangers books at Boom Studios have been fantastic, and they've been seriously better than any episode of the Power Rangers. They've taken that fun and that excitement that we all had when we were kids, watching this stuff, at least as far as I'm concerned, right? It takes that enthusiasm, that joy, that action-oriented passion about it, and it throws in real-life drama. It throws in nuanced character moments and great character dynamics. And it's fantastic. It's very well-rounded and fleshed out. I would dare to say that even if you weren't a Power Rangers fan, you might just like this as a badass superhero comic. It's actually, now that I reflect on it, one of the best superhero comic books on shelves. When you really start talking about it like that, it's not just the best iteration of the Power Rangers that's ever come across as far as story goes. It's probably one of the best superhero comic books on shelves right now. I love it. It's got very dynamic artwork that's very bright. It flows, it's charged, and it does not let up. It's so much fun, and I love it so much. It's more phenomenal. At number 5, we have Kids, number 1, from Ablaze Publishing, written by Arlene Ducaldre, with artwork by Jocelyn Joret. Kids was a very surprising and exceptional comic book. I absolutely loved it. The artwork was very crisp and clean, and the story was very engaging. It's a post-apocalyptic zombie thriller, kind of like Walking Dead meets Zombieland, but instead of focusing on a group of kids, on a group of adults, it focuses on a group of kids. I really liked it. I thought the dialogue was very snappy and very witty. It was very funny, and the characters immediately were very engaging and compelling, as well as the story. The artwork was crisp and clean. I've been noticing something about Ablaze Publishing. They got a very definitive look that they have as far as composition goes, and it really works, and it's very strong and sturdy, and I really like the art style. It's a little cartoonish, but the story itself kind of lends itself to that, but it is also very horrific and violent and guttural when it needs to be. The first issue was great. I'm kind of way over zombie fiction, but I actually really like this, and it does not hurt that they have 2 homage covers, one to The Goonies and one to Lost Boys. 2 of the best movies ever. Seriously loved this book. At number 4, we have Folklords, number 3, from Boom Studios, written by Matt Kent, with artwork by Matt Smith and coloring by Chris O'Halloran. Folklords is a really great, charming coming-of-age story about this kid who... So it's a fantasy world, and this one kid that's in there is kind of obsessed with our real, scientifically based technological world, right? So he dreams up these artifacts. He thinks of things like wrenches and saws, and he wears 3-piece suits and stuff like that. And everybody thinks he's a little weird, but he wants to find the Folklords, because the Folklords are these mythical beings that supposedly can give him the answer to this other world that he feels so connected to, that he's got dreams about, right? But that is a great concept, but that's not why this book is so good and why it hits so high on the top 10 this week. Matt Kent does a great job in this story of inverting the Hansel and Gretel story in a very chilling and visceral way, and I really, really liked it. It was funny, and it was loose and free, but at the same time, it was very dark and foreboding, and had lots of twists and turns in it. It was a great chapter in this, I think, 5, maybe 6-issue miniseries. Matt Kent's doing a great job. Matt Smith's very simplistic artwork really captures the essence of the story, especially when he's enhanced by the coloring with Chris O'Halloran's coloring. Chris O'Halloran's coloring is amazing in this book, and I absolutely love it. The characters are becoming more endearing. The story's getting more intriguing. It's getting deeper into its mystery, and I'm really excited to see where this book is going to go. At number 3, we have Family Tree number 3 from Image Comics, written by Jeff Lemire with artwork by Phil Hester. Family Tree is a story about a little girl who starts turning into a tree. Simple idea, but with Jeff Lemire and Phil Hester working on that together, it's splendidly amazing and better than it probably should be just based on that initial concept alone. It's a cool concept. Let's take that Captain Planet Don Cheadle thing and make it real, right? It's funny just to think it's about a girl that turns into a tree, but it's got so much emotion backed behind that. The mom's reaction, the brother's incessant ridiculousness, and you just want to choke him out or something like that, right? The mystery about what's actually going on, how it relates to her father, her grandfather, the history of the family line. I really like this book. It gets better as it goes. The mystery becomes more enriched and intriguing, but the drama, the nuance in the story really shines through. It's very solid in issue number 3, and I absolutely loved it. Phil Hester's artwork, man, I love it. He's got his own style. It's a little simple. It's a little complex. It's detailed and textured, but at the same time, it's loose and free, and it glides across the page. Working together with Jeff Lemire and the rest of the team, Family Tree is making itself known as another great book from Image Comics and Jeff Lemire. At number 2, we've got Wasted Space, number 13 from Vault Comics, written by Michael Morisi with artwork by Hayden Sherman, coloring by Jason Wordie, and lettering by Jim Campbell. Wasted Space is one of my favorite comic books on shelves, period. It was one of my favorite comic books of last decade. It will probably be one of my favorite comic books this decade. I love this book so much. It's an irreverent sci-fi tale that questions everything. It questions religion. It questions faith. It questions nihilism. It questions all these different philosophies, and I've said this before, it takes all these different ways of thinking and perspectives on the world, and it dissects them all out, right? It dissects them right there, lays them out on the table, and I think what Morisi and company are doing is they're picking through it. They're seeing what works, because none of it seems to be working. A lot of people are unhappy. A lot of people don't feel secure. A lot of people don't feel safe. Why is that? What's going on with the characters in Wasted Space? I love how this relates to all that philosophical discussion. But in the midst of it is this really supremely irreverent and hilarious sci-fi romp. And it's great. Fun characters, deep characters, lots of rich meaning in here. Hayden Sherman, oh my goodness, detailed, textured artwork, a master of composition. I love his artwork so much. You add in Jason Wordie's coloring, adding to that texture, giving it more depth, more nuance to the artwork. I love it so much. Jim Campbell, I can only see him lettering a Michael Morisi book because he usually letters every single Michael Morisi book, but he's able to handle what in another letterer's hand could seem to be a very verbose comic book. He handles it very well, and the book, the dialogue, it glides right across the page because every word that Morisi's writing is packed with meaning for some reason. Either it's trying to get a laugh out of you or it's trying to get a think out of you. Wasted Space does both. That's what I love out of books. I want to be entertained and I want to think, and all together. That means I want to be challenged. Wasted Space is a great challenging book that's both entertaining, exhilarating, thrilling, and all other things. And I know I said both, and that means 2, but I kept going on because whatever. I love it. Get wasted. And at number 1, Once in Future number 6 from Boom Studios, written by Kieran Gillen with artwork by Dan Mora and coloring by Tamara Bonvillain. What more is there to say about Once in Future? This book has been amazing. A great Arthurian legend adventure story that really takes the idea and essence of story and legend and mythology, and it throws it out into a very fun Indiana Jones-esque, yet for a modern world. Like National Treasure meets Indiana Jones, but like really good and solid. Then you got Dan Mora on the artwork, Tamara Bonvillain on the coloring. Oh my goodness, his line work is exceptional. It's amazing. It's dynamic. It's kinetic. It flows across that page. but it's also grounded. It feels realistic. It feels like the best of all the comic book art that we've always loved from all the different ages, golden, silver, bronze, modern, whatever you want to call them. Dan Moore is just a master at that. Tamara Bonvillain's coloring, oh my goodness, I love her color palette in this book. Sickly greens when there needs to be, poppy purples and pinks when there needs to be, but grounded darks, yellows and blues. Every single bit of the coloring is amazing. This book is a perfect trifecta of a team, and the letterer is fantastic as well. Who is the letterer? Because let's shout out Ed Dukeshire, because his lettering is absolutely fantastic. An amazing team. Issue 6 was originally going to be the final issue. However, it's been so successful, they're going to continue it. Issue 7 comes out in March. I cannot wait. This was a very satisfactory ending to this first story. And basically, if you don't know already, it's a story about a group of people trying to resurrect King Arthur. But it turns out King Arthur is not a good dude. He's actually kind of an a-hole and a zombie and a monster, and you don't really want that running around, right? So it's about this dude who all of a sudden gets thrust into this family legacy that's tied in with Arthurian legend, and it questions the essence of story, and it uses the essence of story to bring the bridge from story to us, to the writers, to the creators, and everything else, and it comes back around full circle. Once in Future, number 6, I loved it, can't wait to see what happens in arc number 2. So that's what I thought about my comic books this week. That's my personal top 10 favorite comic books of the week and what I would recommend to you if you want something good and different to read. Let me know what you recommend in the comments down below. Please do share, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. And like I said, comment below your top 10 comic books of the week or of the month, however you want to do it. Let's just start talking about what comic books we love. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Don't forget to join us at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts, and you can join the PCP Army. That's the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. Just go over to Facebook, type in PCP Army, or find it on the Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook page. Join up, chat with me and other members of the excitable PCP crew, our friends, fans, and family. We're all together, collectively, we are the PCP Army. Join us. Anyway, thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Keep on reading.